You think you are just going to the airport like any normal traveler, but in 2026 the reality of air travel has changed completely and most people still don't realize it until it's too late, because airports are no longer just places of boarding and security checks, they are highly advanced surveillance zones where every small habit you perform is being observed, recorded, and analyzed, and what looks like a harmless action can sometimes trigger delays, extra screening, or even boarding denial. And the biggest problem is that most travelers are still repeating the same old airport habits without understanding how strict and smart modern airport systems have become, starting from the moment you enter the terminal where facial recognition cameras already match your identity with your travel history. And if you behave carelessly like rushing through security or ignoring instructions, you can instantly raise flags in the system, and one of the most common mistakes people still make is not preparing their documents in advance, which causes unnecessary stress and delays at check-in counters where long queues are already monitored for suspicious behavior patterns, and then comes the security checkpoint where small habits like keeping electronics buried deep in your bag, or wearing excessive metal accessories, or joking with security officers can create misunderstandings that lead to secondary inspection, and even something as simple as placing your phone in the wrong tray or forgetting to remove liquids can now trigger automated alerts and advanced scanning machines that are far more sensitive than before, and another major mistake travelers make is underestimating how strict airport security is about communication, because talking loudly about sensitive topics, travel plans, or security jokes can sometimes be flagged by behavioral detection systems, and many people also don't realize that charging their phones at public airport USB ports can expose them to cyber risks that authorities are constantly warning about, and on top of that, modern airports are also tracking movement patterns, so if you repeatedly change queues, act confused, or move in unusual ways, it may be interpreted as suspicious behavior, and even social media habits play a role now because posting real-time travel updates can sometimes expose your location and timing, which is something security systems are increasingly aware of, and another hidden mistake is not understanding boarding timing properly, because airlines now use dynamic boarding systems where late arrival even by a few minutes can result in automatic seat reassignment without warning, and passengers often assume they have extra time, but in reality boarding gates can close earlier than expected depending on passenger load and security clearance flow, and even seating choices at airports matter more than people think, because sitting in restricted zones or near security-sensitive areas without reason can sometimes attract attention from staff, and the way you interact with airline staff also matters, because aggressive behavior, unnecessary arguments, or repeated questioning can now be logged into passenger profiles that may affect future flights, and luggage mistakes are another major issue where people still carry restricted items thinking they will pass through, but AI scanning systems can now detect shapes, densities, and even organic materials inside bags with extreme accuracy, and one of the most overlooked habits is ignoring airport announcements or gate changes, because flight information updates in real time and missing one announcement can completely disrupt your journey. And travelers also forget that airport Wi-Fi networks are not fully secure, so logging into sensitive accounts while connected can expose personal data to cyber risks, and another serious mistake is overpacking carry-ons, which not only slows down security but also increases chances of manual inspection, and many passengers still behave casually after security thinking everything is safe. But even inside terminals there are monitored zones where unusual activity can be recorded, and something as simple as repeatedly checking flight screens or standing near restricted doors can create unnecessary alerts, and airports in 2026 are also using predictive AI systems that analyze passenger stress levels, movement speed, and even facial expressions, meaning nervous or rushed behavior can sometimes be misinterpreted, and travelers also underestimate the importance of proper identification handling, because misplaced or damaged documents can lead to verification delays that may cause missed flights, and even boarding pass screenshots are now sometimes rejected in favor of live digital verification. And another habit people ignore is not following boarding group discipline, because jumping queues or ignoring group announcements can now be strictly penalized, and all these small mistakes combined create a pattern that airlines and airport systems are increasingly trained to detect, which is why understanding these habits is not just helpful but necessary for smooth travel in 2026, and in this video we will break down every single airport habit you must avoid, how each one affects your journey, and what simple changes you can make to ensure a stress-free, safe, and fast airport experience every single time you fly, because once you understand how modern airports actually work, you will realize that the smallest mistake can make the biggest difference between a smooth boarding experience and a completely ruined trip.